Daria Albinger, ABC News.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. A 71-year-old Lewiston man has been arrested for physically and sexually abusing a woman with disabilities, according to law enforcement. Michael Dean May was booked into the Cache County Jail on Tuesday. According to the arrest report, Cache County Sheriff's deputies were contacted after the alleged victim described being abused by May multiple times. She alleged that he would spank her, oftentimes in public. The woman also described being touched inappropriately by May. Other times, he allegedly molested her over her clothing. Deputies reported May would take indecent liberties with the alleged victim and take advantage of her due to her mental impairment. They noted how the woman had a large bruise on the back of her leg about the size of a softball. May was arraigned Wednesday afternoon in First District Court. He was charged with forcible sexual abuse and abuse of a vulnerable adult. Defense attorney Ashley Bone asked the court to allow May to be released on bail. She noted that he has a medical condition and needs his medication. Judge Brian Cannell agreed to set bail at $5,000. He ordered May to have no contact with the alleged victim and to appear again in court on October 12th. KBNU News Time is 4:06. KBNU weather for tonight. Mostly clear skies, overnight low in the upper 30s, and then nice warm day tomorrow again, sunny and upper 70s for the high. Right now it's 74 at KBNU. Don't break a leg trying to hang Christmas lights this year. Let Logan Extermination do it for you. You'll love the price, and they're quick. Call 752-8450.
The showroom is full. The warehouse is full. Orders from the last 12 months are all showing up at U&I Furniture, and they're stocked up. U&I has lots of furniture for you to shop and see. Plus, with inflation on the rise, manufacturers are lowering prices. It all adds up to a really good time to furniture shop for upholstered furniture like sofa, loves, sectionals, recliners, and more. U&I features American-made name brands to imports. Local deliveries available. They've been saying it for over 90 years, and it's now more true than ever. It's always a better buy at U&I Furniture in downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 4:07. The state's top court heard lengthy arguments on Wednesday in the case of a former USU football player convicted of multiple counts of rape. Torrey Green is appealing his 2019 conviction by a jury. He is currently serving 26 years to life in prison for rape and sexual battery. In a hearing before the Utah Supreme Court, his lawyers argued that the numerous women's cases against him should never have been consolidated into one. The 5 justices on the court question the evidentiary rules and what types of testimony can be allowed in a criminal trial. Chief Justice Matthew Durant appeared to push back on Green's challenge to a court rule about showing repeated accusations. In his arguments, Assistant Utah Solicitor General David Simpson insisted that Green got a fair trial. Members of Green's family were in court for arguments. His father, Clinton Green Sr., told Fox 13 he hopes his son is able to have his conviction overturned. The Utah Supreme Court took the case under advisement. A ruling could come within the next year. And the Pocatello City Council is expected to vote on the appointment of its final 2 members at today's council meeting. The council will vote on the confirmation of Brent Nichols and Corey Mangum, according to a meeting agenda. Mayor Brian Bladd said in a news release Wednesday they had a lot of great applicants, making this a challenging decision to narrow the field down to just 2 candidates. He believes Brent and Corey will be great additions to the city council and will continue to make Pocatello a great place to work and live. KBNU News Time is 4:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
We all have a friend like Evan.
Guys, could you spot me a few bucks for the game?
But what happens when it's time for Evan to pay up?
I don't have it right now, but you know I'm good for it.
Nobody likes a deadbeat, and chronic deadbeat Evan McMullen has raised millions of dollars for his special interest groups. But in true deadbeat form, instead of paying off the nearly $700,000 in debt from his presidential campaign, he took the money and paid his own company millions of dollars. Liberty Champions PAC is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology cares about you and your hearing. Dr. Paul Danes has always called Cache Valley home and cares about its people. And Dr. Danes offers state-of-the-art equipment, allowing him to provide the best service and care possible when it comes to your hearing. So if your hearing isn't what it used to be, give Dr. Danes a call at 753-HEAR or visit CacheValleyHearing.com to see what they can do for you.
Back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
If you're feeling dizzy or off balance, you're not alone. 35% of adults over 40 in the U.S. have a problem with their inner ear, and many conditions go undiagnosed and untreated. But there's hope. For more information, call 800-837-8428 or visit liferebalanced.org and discover a life rebalanced. That's 800-837-8428 or liferebalanced.org. Sponsored by the Vestibular Disorders Association.
This is Sheriff Chad Jensen. OHVs are a lot of fun, but they also come with a lot of responsibility. Please make sure you are familiar with Utah State Code as well as your local ordinances before you head onto the roadways or head up into the canyons. You may notice more deputies in the canyon areas. Our traffic unit will be out ensuring that everyone is following the regulations. We want everyone to be safe, have fun, share the roads, share the canyons, and share the trails. Check out our Facebook page for some helpful links to find Utah OHV State Code as well as many of our local city ordinances.
Hi, I'm E.J. Williams for American Humane. For thousands of years, dogs have been our best friends in our worst times. Today, we're also learning that our best friends, millions of whom are abandoned each year, are often the best medicine when people are facing obstacles. To help both people and animals, organizations like American Humane have been working to harness the healing power of the human-animal bond, finding animals in need of forever homes and training them as life-saving service and therapy dogs to help our veterans, the elderly, and children overcome the daily obstacles of life. In this way, the rescued can become the rescuers. To find out how you can help give animals and the people they help a new leash on life, please visit AmericanHumane.org.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVN News for the People. It is Thursday, October 6th. I'm Jason Williams, and it is beautiful out there today. Another day of, kind of in between air conditioner and windows down today. Yesterday was full-on air conditioner. Today, it feels a little cooler, even if it's not.
Run the AC and have the windows down.
See what you think. It is nice to have a fall like this. If you want to see those leaves in the canyons, they are beautiful, but some areas further south from us, surprisingly, are seeing a lot of their leaves drop. Logan Canyon, I'm still saying, isn't at peak yet. But maybe don't trust me. I don't know. With the dry conditions, they fall fast.
Yeah. Get up there and enjoy them before it's too late.
Yeah, the window on the colors this year is going to be very short due to the drought. So, big show today. We'll be joined by our friend Anna Thomas of Voices for Utah Children. An article in Reason Magazine, a libertarian magazine, recently made the rounds here in Utah, especially legislative circles. And the article was reporting a claim that zoning laws were mainly to blame for the shortage we've seen since the pandemic of child care options, which is believed to be one of the biggest contributors to the labor shortage. Voices for Utah Children says from what they've learned, at least here in Utah and the Intermountain West, it's not quite so simple. So Anna will be joining us to kind of break that down. We'll also check in with the Family Place, celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. They join us once a month, and every Thursday, the first Thursday, usually, not this month, they're with us. This month, it is today. We'll be talking about their, this was unplanned, the two together. We'll also be talking about their child care options that they offer. So that's all coming up in hour 2. Here in hour 1, much more fun topic, much less serious topic, although sometimes it gets serious here. Charlie Shill here in the studio with us. He writes for CashValleyDaily.com, and you can read his work there each and every day. News stories, theater reviews, and more. And once a week, he steps into the studio with us here to break down your options, provide some reviews and context, behind-the-scenes looks at entertainment, theater, and more here in Cache Valley. And Charlie, I have to give you a quick shout-out because I didn't know about this until you told me about the event that took place at the historic Cache County Courthouse. It was on noon on a Wednesday, and it was a combination of these Hawaiian dancers, professional dancers that were here for a performance of the Eccles that same week, and then leaders of the Northwestern Band of the Shoshone tribe. And they got together, the two different groups got together and did a very cool presentation and land acknowledgement event at the historic courthouse that day. I hadn't heard of it. You mentioned it on the show, and I got out to it. It was really amazing to see. And two vastly different cultures when it comes to how they celebrate their cultures through art and dance. But I'd never thought of this before. A lot of similarities, too. Storytelling through dance and historical record keeping through dance and song. And very cool stuff. But so, yeah, thanks for tipping me off on that. What have you been up to? I have an idea what you've been up to.
Did you go to see Love and Information?
No, I missed it. I had an emergency.
No. You haven't missed it. You still got.
Do I have one left?
You still got tonight and tomorrow.
I thought it was done tonight, and I
Saturday,
can't go tonight.
Come to think of it.
Oh, I could make it Saturday. Okay, thank you. You just made my week. I thought it was done tonight.
No.
Okay.
And it's really interesting.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued by this.
It's back in probably 2019, USU did a show called Civics and Humanities for Non-Majors. It was one of the first shows I saw up there. And during that, in the midst of that show, and I wasn't even it wasn't even necessarily attached to the show. There was a little vignette with two women, Molly Barcy and Kaja Strong.
Okay.
Molly graduated in 2019 or 2020, and Kaja graduated in 2021.
Okay.
And it was they played two women in an abortion clinic. And it starts out with uncomfortable silence, and then gradually they begin to talk, and then there's hysterical laughter, and then there's some coming together.
Okay.
And it was a remarkable piece of pure acting. I mean, it was just amazing.
Interesting.
And that's a lot like what's going on in Love and Information.
Okay.
Only 50 times.
Really?
Yes.
50? Wow.
There's Carol Churchill, who's the author of Love and Information, has written a play, and she determines that there are 7 sections and in each section, and you have to do the seven sections in the order she wrote.
Okay.
And then there's 7 scenes in each.
Wow.
In each section, And
That's
those
complex.
and those can be performed at random.
Wow.
And that's what the Michael Shipley determined to do. And his actors were told, okay, a word would flash on the screen that would tell them what scene they were going to perform.
Ooh.
And they had to just react to it.
Oh, wow. That would be difficult.
No names. None of the characters had names. No plot development. All you have to work with is what Churchill wrote for these two characters, or three characters in some cases.
Okay.
To say in a space of maybe 30 or 40 seconds.
Okay.
And
wow.
It's really kind of intense, oddly compelling.
That would be, whew. I'm trying to imagine.
I don't understand the mathematics, but Shipley says that basically the audience can walk in there one night and
oh, sure,
and see 35,000 different combinations of the play.
That is honestly amazing.
Yeah.
How that would be. I'm thinking to write. That would be difficult.
Well, I don't know because you don't really care about where these people came from or where they were going to.
Sure.
You're just stipulating. Here's what they say.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
It was, kind of odd. The other thing that's interesting. There's two plays going on up there almost simultaneously. 2 weeks from tonight, they're going to have a Spring Awakening.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking that Shipley may have been doing this show with whatever acting students were left over after the cast of Spring Awakening was taken on. But you wouldn't know it.
That is interesting.
The kids were really good. There's some familiar faces in the cast. Ryan Adams was there. Ryan Adams was the son in Ghosts by Heinrich Ibsen when they did the staged reading last year.
Okay.
And Mia Gaithram is also in the show. She, last time I can think she had a leading role was in the show they did at Christmas in 2021.
Wow.
Miss Bennett, Christmas at Pemberley, which was a period piece. A Victorian costume affair, or Georgian actually.
Okay.
But otherwise, there was. It's kind of a disservice to the performers because you're seeing them in so many different combinations that you don't really know who's doing what. I mean, I recognized Adams. I recognized Mia Gaithram. And they were very good. Other than that, they were newcomers, I think.
That's unfortunate in a way because the talent required to do this well deserves recognition.
Yes.
Interesting.
But, this is terrible to say it this way, but I couldn't identify who there was one female actress. Blonde hair, bun on top of her head, big dimples, who was just good. And I've never seen her before, and I don't even have a name to attach to her.
Oh,
but we're going to see more of her.
That would be interesting to see. So, do you know anything about how they selected the cast for this, or was this more of a
you've got
people who were really interested, first come first serve kind of thing?
They had a cast of 14 actors and 4 understudies, and one of the understudies was actually in the role.
Oh,
it was in the role on last Thursday night.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw it Thursday. Anyway, yeah, it's a very interesting show. It's if you're looking for plot development, there ain't any. If you're looking for what does this mean, don't go, because you're not going to find out what it means. It means what you think it means.
Yeah,
as usual, that kind of a thing. But it's kind of an interesting showcase for the talent, for up and coming talent.
Yeah, that would be I think to be in something like that, and if you do it well, that's going to be remembered.
There's some of these little vignettes that are funny. There are some that are perplexing, and you're not sure why this thing is going on.
Okay.
There are some of them are kind of erotic and have kind of have tongue in cheek in them. It's really interesting. Churchill started out writing in the 60s and 70s radio and television scripts. And,
really?
Yeah. And then she became the resident dramatist at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre in London. And, the Royal Court Theatre in London.
Okay.
And while she was there, she kind of developed a series of plays about sexual politics and the dynamics of power between men and women. But lately she's been designing these odd little shows that kind of push the boundary of what we call a play.
Yeah, which this one does, right?
Definitely.
I mean, it's not a straight up 3-act narrative.
The show opens with, and actually before the play begins, all 26 or 20 or 18 people are on stage. They kind of wander in while the audience is coming in, and they start to do random acts on the stage, and you don't know what's going on at first. At the end of the show, again, there's all 14 people on stage, and they're playing a game like Jeopardy.
Oh, really?
A television game like Jeopardy, but with utterly impossibly difficult questions to answer.
Really?
But they know all the answers. Somebody up there knows all the answers, But it just comes out of left field. How many stars are there in the sky? A whole bunch. Yay! And then they all congratulate each other.
I like that.
There's these two bookends there on either end of this very chaotic affair. And, it means what you think it means.
That is interesting. This is... So Love and Information plays up until Saturday.
Yep.
And then we have, you said, let's see, what was running at the same time?
On the 21st, the musical Spring Awakening is going to debut.
And you said you feel there might be a connection in a way between the two? Or the timing?
Well, no. I think they cast Spring Awakening first and shoved the kids into rehearsals.
And then
Michael Shipley got stuck with everybody else who's in the theater program who wasn't cast in Spring Awakening. But what he's got, what he turned them into probably, is really, really interesting.
That's fascinating. This is I'm excited I haven't missed this one because now I want to see it even more. Someone online described this as experimental theater, which at first I thought, that sounds so cheesy when people say stuff like that. But in a way, I guess, the experiment is, can the audience handle it? I think.
Yeah, that's true. And it's being performed in the Black Box Theater, which is where you put experimental theater.
Sure, because if it ends up bad, you've only disappointed 25 people.
There was no question about it ever being bad. Well, I suppose, there could be somebody who was so desperate for some kind of meaning from this thing that they felt frustrated and, well, that's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back again.
Yeah.
But in theater you got to be open to a wide range of what's going on. And the little vignettes, some of them, were a little off, but a lot of them were very, very good, very entertaining.
To me, this sounds fun. And if I obviously don't go like you do as often as you do, but if you've gone to a lot of shows and do so every year, seeing something different is always fun. Even if it's something you'd never go to again, it's always fun. But this sounds like something that I almost feel, without even having seen it, just hearing your description, I almost feel like this should become a tradition of sorts.
I wouldn't go that far. But, when we've talked about this previously, I had read some stuff about what Churchill has done, and I had the entirely wrong idea. I thought this was going to be black theater, lights out, and just voices pre-recorded, because that's the way it's been done in other cases.
Well, and that's the way it was kind of described too, that it would be almost an all audio experience.
No. Not the case at all. I was completely wrong about that. This is a theatrical experience that's very interesting.
Interesting. This is, for listeners, I've linked to places you can get tickets to the remaining shows of Love and Information. And, sounds like this is definitely an experience to not miss if you're a fan of, a more risk-taking theater experience.
Mm-hmm.
That is very cool. Links to this on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of our guests, Charlie Shill, here in the studio talking theater in Cache Valley, right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:33, and the news is brought to you by Whole Tree Care. The National Park Service released the name of a 33-year-old whose body was recovered from the Devil's Garden area of Arches National Park on October 1st. According to an NPS statement released Wednesday, the woman has been identified as Arlington, Virginia resident Ekaterina Yaroslavna Senyek. The Grand County Sheriff's Office previously stated a cause of death has not been determined, and the woman's body has been transferred to the Utah Medical Examiner's Office as the investigation continues. Authorities have released few details surrounding the incident so far, and multiple questions remain. It is currently not known if police are investigating any specific potential causes of death or if foul play is suspected in any way. Officials have not said whether Senyek was a visitor at the park, and if so, if she was there with anyone else. A 5-year-old boy was seriously injured after being hit by a truck while riding his bike in Roy. The Roy Police Department was called to the incident, where they discovered the child around 6 p.m., according to Sergeant Josh Taylor with the Roy Police Department. When officers arrived, they discovered a 5-year-old boy on a bike who had been struck by a pickup truck towing a trailer. KUTV reports the boy was transported to a local area hospital with serious injuries. Taylor said the male driver of the truck remained on scene and was cooperating with police. In Las Vegas, police say 8 people were stabbed outside a casino. 2 have died and the others were taken to local hospitals. ABC's Michelle Franzen has more.
The stabbing attack happened just before noon Las Vegas time. Police say the victims were stabbed outside the Wynn Casino. Ty Tucker says he was nearby and described what he heard and then saw.
I see a guy drop right there, and then his girl starts screaming and book it. And I'm like, okay, something's going on.
Clark County Sheriff Joseph Lombardo.
I'm very proud of LVMPD and our ability to be eyes on and physically on to take this suspect into custody in a matter of minutes.
Police say the motive for the stabbing attack is still unknown. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
KBNU News Time is 4:35.
Remember last October's huge snowstorm that destroyed trees all over Cache Valley? Bobby and his crew at Hall Tree Care were the most popular guys in town.
Yeah, high five.
Not saying that will happen again. However, I just looked at the forecast for winter and it calls for snow. Snow can wreak havoc in your overgrown trees and shrubs, which can wreak even more havoc in your home and vehicles. Call Hall Tree Care before winter gets here. 760-6587. Ask about their radio discount. That's HULL Tree Care.
KBNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low in the upper 30s, and then mostly sunny, upper 70s tomorrow. Right now it's 74 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call Dr. Paul Danes at 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
Good afternoon. This is Raydell Gibbons bringing you the Daily Financial Markets Report on behalf of financial advisor Mike Arnold and Edward Jones. Markets sold off late in the day with the S&P 500 closing lower by over 1%. The S&P 500 is still over 4% for the week as equity markets begin this week with a strong rally on the back of perhaps oversold conditions. Markets may be moving sideways today ahead of the big data release tomorrow and the weeks ahead, including the non-farm jobs report tomorrow, the CPI inflation next week, and ongoing third-quarter earnings report starting in earnest next Friday. Meanwhile, Treasury yields and the U.S. dollar index both moved higher today, adding to downward pressure on stocks. Today, the U.S. equities closed lower. The Dow closed down 347 points at 29,927. The NASDAQ closed down 75 points at 11,073. And the S&P 500 closed down 39 points at 3,745. In the bond market today, the 10-year Treasury yield are trading at 3.81% higher. The price of crude oil was up $1.26 to $89.02, and the price of gold was up $1.80 at $1,722.60. For stocks of local interest, Autoleaf closed up 57 cents at 74.18. Chevron's up $2.89 at 161.42. Dominion Energy is down $3.05 at 65.96. Home Depot is up 54 cents at 290.39. Kroger's down 88 cents at 43.72. Lowe's is up 95 cents at 199.98. McDonald's is down $4.34 at 234.75. Microsoft's down $2.41 at 246.79. Nucor is down 4 cents at 117.81. Philip Morris is down $1.50 at 85.47. And Walmart stores closed down $1.24 and $131.68. This has been today's Financial Markets Report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, a member of the SIPC, and financial advisor Mike Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice located at 135 North Main, Suite 102 in downtown Logan. If you'd like additional information, please contact our branch office at 753-2915. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Schreiber Foods wants to give a big thanks to the community for your support during their 50-year celebration. Thanks to you, they exceeded their goals for money raised and food donated for the Cash Food Pantry. Over 60,000 boxes of birthday cake mix was donated and thousands of dollars raised, all to help feed hungry families in our community. You also helped set a world record for the largest macaroni and cheese dish ever made, over 4,700 pounds, and it was delicious. In fact, so many people have asked for the recipe that you can now pick up that exact recipe at the Logan Schreiber Foods office, 885 North, 600 West. Local restaurants donated proceeds like Texas Roadhouse, Chick-fil-A, Firehouse Pizza, Los Primos, Sabores, Tandoori Oven, and Cafe Sabor. They also want to thank their dedicated Schreiber Foods employees for all the difference you make in feeding the world and doing good through food. Again, thank you from everyone at Schreiber Foods. They couldn't have done it without you.
Even though the weather's grown colder, you still have time to have your fruit trees pruned. Logan Extermination says your trees need to be trimmed back in order to achieve success next year. And this is the first step to a bountiful harvest. However, you could do more bad than good if you don't know what you're doing. Save the headache and call Logan Extermination today and get a jump on tree pruning. Prices will vary depending on your needs. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
It's USU Homecoming Week, and you can show your Aggie pride with a stop at the Aggie fans' favorite place to shop, and that's Locker 42. They have a store full of everything Aggie. Aggie logo jackets and hoodies and long and short sleeve t-shirts. Pick out a new Aggie hat from dozens of hat choices as well. Game time temperatures will be cool, but you can stay warm with a plush Aggie blanket. Shop the Locker 42 location that's the most convenient for you. 1430 North Main next to Little Caesars, and the flagship store downtown at 36 South Main.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Our theater hour continues here with Charlie Shill in the studio. You can read Charlie's work each and every day at CashValleyDaily.com. News stories, theater reviews, and more. He joins us here in the studio every Thursday to talk theater in Cache Valley. Love and information we've been discussing so far. Still available, our tickets still available to the remaining shows up until Saturday evening. And then USU moves on to kind of an overlapping schedule again in bits and pieces throughout the USU schedule this year, but not enough that you have a good excuse to miss anything. Although, you know, we've talked about this before, Charlie, a lot of what's on USU's full calendar for the 22-23 school year is not for everybody. There's something for everybody. But the entire schedule is not for everybody. And they try to do that on purpose, right? A little bit of everything.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's a smart move, so.
You know, they're going to do shows whether they sell tickets or not.
Yeah.
The object of the game is to give their kids, their students, an opportunity to perform.
Sure. That they otherwise wouldn't have.
And Spring Awakening is going to be strong stuff.
I think so.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, I think this is going to... I hesitate to say this anymore because some things I thought would be controversial just weren't. I thought there might even be a little bit of a community backlash to Spam-A-Lot when it came through. But I think the audiences here in Cache Valley are... I think it's a combination of audiences being selective about what they go to, but also because they have so many choices, but also understanding that, you know, you want these different types of things coming through, even if they're not your cup of tea.
Well, Spam-A-Lot was just silly.
Yeah.
Just like all the Monty Python things are. And to a large extent, other than the music, it was just rehashed Python skits.
Yeah. Most of it from the Holy Grail.
Yeah. So people knew what to expect.
Yeah.
Nobody went there, expecting Robert Goulet to stumble out in armor and sing, "If ever I would leave you."
Which actually would have been funny if they'd thrown that in the middle somewhere there without warning.
I suppose.
But
they'd have probably shot him.
That was. I'm a big believer in the. That's one hard line I draw. With some things, you should just know what you're getting into. I used to think this. Bill and I talk about this when Dr. Laura was on air before her show ended. I would listen sometimes, usually on my way here to the station, because she'd run right before us, and people would call in, and she would light them up, and I would always think, what did you expect? You should have known how she was going to respond to
famous Dr. Laura quotes. Sex is messy, especially if you do it right.
That's right. And she got away. She shocked me sometimes with some of the words she would get away with using that never got her in trouble, really. I mean, nothing offensive, just the cussing words. But yeah, Dr. Laura pushed some boundaries. But yeah, when people would call and she'd light them up, and I would think, what do you think she was going to say? How are you? But I have run into some people who went into things like Spam-A-Lot, or I met a person who went to Legally Blonde and was completely offended because, I mean, this is a person who that's
offended by what?
Just some of the some of the jokes, some of the innuendo, I think, was sort of how she read it. And I racked my brain trying to figure out what it was because I couldn't remember a thing from that. I think what it is that sometimes it's just something that's not for you. And you're maybe going to find something to dislike.
Some of the dances were sexy in that.
Maybe that's what it was.
And, the attire was Valley Girl stuff, but there wasn't anything objectionable in that.
No, and I think you just have to know a bit about what you're going to. If you're a person that's sensitive to those types of things, read up on it before you buy the ticket, and that's a good way to avoid seeing something you don't want to see. But here in Cache Valley, you're pretty safe.
Nobody could walk into Legally Blonde. Have you seen the movie?
Or even read a synopsis. The synopsis alone should tell you, that's... And we don't get...
and that was such a good show, too. It was really well done.
One of my favorites.
Sarah Marshall was great in that.
That was... and this sort of takes us back to the amount of choices you have here in Cache Valley in general. With some lulls here and there throughout the year, you've generally got a couple of things at least every week you could choose from. So yeah, just read about it a little bit. If you're sensitive to certain things, and if you're worried about maybe you're going to take the kids, I don't know. Just read up on it a little bit. We don't get anything super worrisome. I can't remember anything coming through town that. Well, there was a comedian a couple of years ago that Wendy Hassan got that I thought some people aren't going to like some of those jokes.
She had a stand-up show this week.
Oh, that was the first one, right?
That flew off very nicely. Young people and old people, and nothing in between, actually, in the audience. And
that's funny.
Everybody did well.
Wendy's smart about who she books.
Yeah,
she knows what she's doing. She knows Cache Valley.
When we talk about knowing what you're going to, the Four Seasons are going to do Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I would love to see it done that way.
Notre Dame, yes.
I would love to see that Notre Dame accent.
But anyway. The Four Seasons has got a reputation as we present family theater. Well,
sure.
Hunchback, in the first 5 minutes you kill two people, including the Hunchback's mother.
Yeah.
It's
dark.
There's a little racy dancing in there, and it's really dark.
Yeah, I think it's one of the darker, classic not fairy tales, but you know what I mean.
It's Disney.
Yeah, it's and there's murder. There's
there's skullduggery. There's all kinds of nasty stuff.
Yeah, suicide. Right? Is that if it's done traditionally? There's at least a hint of it. So yeah, I mean, there's some darker elements in this, and it really comes down. You know, Andy and I talk about this on the movie show all the time. Andy always warns parents that PG-13 doesn't mean drop the kids off and they'll be fine. You know, there are some things that when I was growing up, my parents would probably have let me I remember they let me watch everyone forgets that Tom Hanks used to be in R-rated comedies before he was a family actor.
Sure.
And my parents would let me watch some of that stuff, but they were very careful about some of the more violent Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I wanted to see Commando so bad. And they'd seen it, and there were a couple scenes in that were pretty horror movie gruesome, and they didn't want me seeing that. And so I think every parent's different. There isn't a rating system for theater, but you can read the thematic content and get an idea of what you're stepping into.
What a childhood you must have had.
It was interesting.
My parents were dropping me off to see the Ten Commandments and Ben-Hur.
Actually, it's a good foundation in the classics, though. Yeah.
But you gotta, I'm older than dirt.
That was total tangent. One of my funniest. I was too young to go in. There used to be. I don't know if they still do. There was a rule that it wasn't good enough for your parents to come to the box office and buy tickets as an adult and give them to you. If you were going to go to an R-rated movie, they had to be with you. And I don't know if they enforced that still at the Megaplex, but I know that back in the day they did. And I wanted to see Wes Craven's Serpent and the Rainbow. I was 17, and my friend was 17, so my mom volunteered to go with. She hated horror movies. She fell asleep, and in one of the tense, quieter parts of the movie, sound asleep. We've all done this before. It's quiet, it's tense. The whole audience is silent because you know a scary part's coming, and my mom goes, what? Really loud, and wakes up. And I teased her about that for years. She scared the audience more than the film did. But yeah, I guess the point in response to this listener asking about, are these family friendly? That's going to be determined by, your family. And what your own, standards are within your family.
Spring Awakening is not going to be family friendly.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's kind of how we got down this road. We're
talking, murder, homosexuality,
dark themes about betrayal.
Themes abound.
And,
yes.
Yeah, so that's not for kids.
No.
But that's a good point. Just common sense should tell you, because the listener again says, "Hey, there's no rating system. How do we know?" Read up on it a little bit.
USU has been doing like a rating system.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They let you know if this is a PG-13 or an R or whatever.
That's very useful. I look that up because maybe that would answer your questions.
They definitely have trigger warnings on all of their shows.
And I think for the most part, again, you can read the summary of the plot or Google when it's been performed other places and even catch some video clips. You can get a good idea of whether it's right for your family or not pretty easily. So yeah, just don't take any risks if you don't want to see something that might offend. 753-5868. Great question from a listener, but yeah, there's just no guarantees in life, I guess, when it comes to this, especially if you're going to go out and see something you don't know much about or haven't seen before. Charlie Shill, our guest here in the studio, talking theater in Cache Valley, and we'll be back right after this.
When it comes to your health and deadly diseases, your body doesn't always give warning signs. You won't see a big, bright alert button above your head or hear some upbeat notification jingle when something's not right. Fortunately, there's something you can do to protect yourself and stay healthy now and into the future. Schedule your health screenings and immunizations to stay up to date on your well-being. Visit uptodate.utah.gov to learn more.
over budget by $2 million, withholding financial records from the county council, structuring large financial appropriations without the council's involvement or approval. This is the public record and is concerning to you, the hardworking taxpayers of Cache County. I'm Mark Ensign, and I'm a write-in candidate for county executive. I'll restore order, trust, and transparency to the Cache County Executive's office with your write-in vote.
To learn more, visit ensignforcachecounty.com. Paid for by Mark Ensign.
This is former Cache County Executive Lynn Lemon. I wholeheartedly support Mark Ensign. I hope you will make the extra effort to write him in for County Executive.
It's important to get your flower beds and yard ready for a beautiful spring. Plant bulbs. Anderson Seed and Garden has dozens of bulb varieties in stock. They will burst next spring with amazing colors. If you want a green yard this spring, you should apply a fall fertilizer now. Don't forget to protect your yard and flower beds from pesky voles before they become active. If you've got insect problems, Anderson's has the right sprays and treatments. Come see what's new at Anderson Seed and Garden, 69 West Center, Logan.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. A fun conversation here this hour with Charlie Shill in the studio. Again, you can read his work each and every day at CacheValleyDaily.com. News stories, theater reviews, and more. But he joins us here in the studio to do it live, as the kids say. And it's a pretty exciting time in theater because we're, as we've been discussing, the USU lineup, at least the starting lineup here for the USU 22-23 season. You've also got, as you mentioned, Charlie, some things going on at the Eccles, comedy shows, dance shows, and more. Then you also have the Hunchback starting, which will be in the Skyview High School Auditorium, right? Mm-hmm. That's where Four Seasons does their thing. And then holiday shows, which Pickleville has theirs out already. The Addams Family.
They'll be,
for a Halloween.
And then there's the Halloween Laugh Fest that's Pickleville touring.
That's right.
That's going to be on the 28th, I believe.
Okay.
And but next week we're going to be in a bit of a lull.
Okay.
Because we'll have Hunchback to talk about, but
yeah.
A while back you suggested that we needed, or that Wendy suggested that we needed to talk about the RAPS tax.
Yeah.
And I'll have that ready to go next week.
That's going to be on the ballot, and I don't think there is a better thing to point to as far as public policy successes in Utah or in the Intermountain West than the RAPS program.
I did an awful thing the other night.
Uh-oh.
I had my other hat on, and there was a candidate forum by the League of Women Voters.
That's right.
And all we had was Patrick Bellman and Dan Johnson.
Oh, okay.
And I threw the RAPS tax and the open bond issue at them and said, which would you prefer to see pass if you had to choose between one or the other?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Well, and there's a danger there that people could be very enthusiastic about the open space bond and forget about the RAPS tax.
There's political scientists have a theory that they call it finite ballot energy, where if you put two, because there's another thing on the ballot too.
Zero-sum game. No, it's just those two.
I thought there was a constitutional question.
No.
Maybe that's coming. That might be on the next one. But yeah, I mean, I am concerned about that. That RAPS might suffer due to. I'm glad people are excited about the Open Space Initiative, but the RAPS program might suffer because of that. That would be really unfortunate.
Well, Patrick Bellman dodged the question, but Dan Johnson answered it honestly. So
good. I assume we'll be seeing that at CacheValleyDaily.com soon.
Yeah.
By the way, really quick, I appreciated you joining us for Mike Lee on Monday. If we're able to get, we're trying, Charlie and I both, if we're able to get Evan McMullen, hopefully you'll come back and be with us that day too. I said we're trying.
I wish you luck.
We're not on his radar for some reason.
Nobody is.
Weird political times. Charlie, thank you for your time. Listeners, thank you for yours. Please stay tuned. We'll visit with representatives of the Family Place and Voices for Utah Children. We're basically going to spend the next hour on childcare in one way or another here on KVNU Logan.